once you've started to figure out where you're going to need the B-roll and where not to use it, you've got to figure out what are the right images to use. Sometimes it's obvious. For the music workshops, I'd use footage of the music workshops. There's nothing too tricky there, but other times, well, it's not so obvious. For instance, I was making a video that was completely voiceover, meaning there was speech but not from an interview. It was just a script that was read on a microphone. The piece was about nonprofits in general, so I needed a lot of images and nonprofits to make it work. I use a B-roll subscription service to help me find video clips, so I started there. I looked up the obvious searches. I searched for nonprofit, all the different spellings of that, and then searched for volunteer, charity, and I found some good footage, but a lot of it looked really similar. People in shirts that conveniently said volunteer on them, handing out food or sorting through donations, cleaning up the forest, that kind of thing. But that got very repetitive quickly, and so I put the piece away for a moment to give myself a moment to think about it. And the next day, well, the obvious answer hit me. I was looking too generically, but lots of nonprofits have very specific missions, so I started to search for those. Suddenly, teacher got me a lot of great clips. Music, art, doctor, animal shelter, all got me what I needed for the video. So the first trick is to, as with every other part of this process, sometimes take a step back so you can look at it fresh and just let time solve the problem. Now that was an example of needing to get more specific to find ideas, but make sure you're also thinking abstractly. For instance, I was making a video about an organization about helping kids in trouble in foster care. So I looked for specific images about child trafficking, homeless children, that kind of thing. But I also did wide searches for sad child, child alone, child looking away, child in the city, that kind of thing. Every video that I found that I liked or almost liked, I'd write down what it is that I liked about it, and then I'd do a search for that thing to find even more clips that I might be able to use. So I searched child on bench after I found a really good shot of a kid on a park bench. Even if you're filming your own footage, digging around online can give you ideas for what to film. Most stock footage sites, they'll let you search and watch clips without being a member or buying anything, so use them as a reference for ideas, even if you're not going to use their footage. There are also free stock footage websites, and we'll look at some of those in a future lesson. Now, once you've found some footage, you can start adding it and seeing how it works. Be prepared, especially if you're using stock footage. I usually do this in about 3 passes, at least, while I'm looking for the B-roll. My first pass, I get some of it in there, but then I discover that, these 3 shots, well, they're all just too similar, so I need to find some more diverse footage. And this clip that I thought would cover what I needed, well, it's just too short, and so I need 1 or 2 more clips to go with it to make it long enough. And this idea that I thought would work, it just doesn't work at all. It takes a while to get it right, so be patient. One of the things that can be tricky with B-roll is knowing how long do you keep it on the screen. Like the flow of an edit. Sometimes the length of the B-roll, it just feels right, or maybe it just doesn't. But what I'm especially looking for when timing the B-roll is, does it add interest? Does it keep the audience interested? That can be tricky to gauge, but I keep the B-roll on screen for how long I think it'll take the audience to take in that information from the shot, and then I cut away once I think that info, once it's served its purpose. So, simple example, if the shot is a shot of a car passing, I'll keep it up long enough for the audience to see that it's a car, that it's passing, and then when it's done, cut away. It's pretty straightforward, but what if the shot is a face? What do I want the audience to see in that face? Is there an emotion that I want them to see, or even better, that I want them to feel? How long does that take? That's part of the artistry, but thinking about the audience and keeping in mind that they want new information, that's a good yardstick for measuring your timing. Now, one thing I'll often do is I'll show the video to other people, and I'll watch them as much as the video as it plays. I knew a theater director at a dinner theater who used to watch the audience, and almost every time someone took a drink, he'd end up making a note and often a change to the show at that moment. Because if the audience, if they thought about being thirsty, well, then the show must not have their full attention, so maybe it's slogging a bit there. Now, sometimes people are just thirsty. It's easy to take this too far, but it's a good idea to keep in mind. And showing the video to other people can help reveal the parts of your video that maybe aren't working yet. The more you do that, the more just putting it in front of an audience can help you to just feel where it's not working. You get better and better at this, and you'll start to get the vibe without them even having to say or do anything. Just having them there is enough for you to see what needs to be changed. Finally, as you're laying out B-roll, save your very best shots for the beginning and especially for the end. Now, hopefully, all your shots are your best shots, but some are always going to be better than others. Sometimes when I don't have as many great shots as I'd like that work for the piece, the middle, well, it's often made up of just shots that I have. Not great ones, but just ones that exist. Because I need to cut away from the interview to hide the jump cuts or just to keep things visually interesting. They don't all have to be perfect. Sometimes they just need to exist to do their job. But at the beginning, there you're fighting to keep the audience's attention. So you want those best, most effective, probably most emotional shots there. And once you've got the audience involved in the story, well, then the shots don't have to work so hard to keep people engaged. And the ending, that's where they're going to decide to care about your organization after the video is done. Will they donate? Will they volunteer? Will they share this video with someone else? The ending, that's where they make those active decisions. So maybe even more important than the opening, keep those most powerful, most emotional, most effective shots for then.